Welcome back to the Resistance Broadcast, everybody. I'm John Hoey. Thanks so much for joining us today. Happy Monday to all of you. We hope you enjoyed your weekend, because now it's time to talk about Star Wars. We got a fun show lined up for you, as always. We got some news to talk about, stuff from Bob Iger, Star Wars Resistance, our feedback on the Solo home video release that we all own and love and cherish, and of course, your questions later in the show, and probably some zany banter in our outro that we've been doing lately. But first, we have to say hi to the crew. James Baney, Lacey Gillerin, what's going on, guys?
If you are listening to this, you are part of the Resistance. Welcome back. Happy Monday. I'm James Baney, and we've got a great show for you. How you doing, Lacey?
Our outro is less zany and fun when you call it out, John.
Who is that?
Spoiler alert.
No one
it's
likes
Lacey.
introducing themselves less than Lacey.
Yeah.
That's true. Oh, God.
I want to ask you guys, how many times have you watched your home video version of Solo? I'll guess James once and Lacey 0 because she watched it on the plane so many times.
I've watched it. So I haven't watched the movie yet, but I watched the special features. But I did watch it on the plane twice. So I've seen it more times on the plane than I did in the movie theater and at home.
I watched it 1.5 times because I put it on and then like This Is Us
was on. You mean 1.5?
No, 1.5 times. So I put it on and then my wife was like, the voice is on or something.
Man.
And so I was like, okay, this has got to go off. So, and then even the special feature stuff, I want to throw this out there too, because I looked at the multi-screen, or I'm sorry, the like Target 4K, whatever. And I was like, dude, I was holding out for the Blu-ray because I might as well grab the Blu-ray, but this special edition is like $30-something. It's even more. And I was like, forget that. What does it come with? A book? No, I'm not getting that. So I went.
Oh my God, James said no to a book. What world are we living in that James was like, I will not buy this Star Wars book?
So I went to Target to get the movie, and then I was like, wait, why did I come to Target? I could have went anywhere to like Walmart or Best Buy or something. There was even closer stores. And then when I actually got into Target, I was holding it in my hand, and I saw that they said they had an extra special digital Millennium Falcon thing or something. And I was like, I don't even watch the special features. Why would that? I bought it. I don't know why I bought it, but I bought it.
Wait, so a Target like representative, an employee, like sold you on the extra version?
He got upsold.
No. I upsold myself. I went in and I looked at the thing, and it said that the Millennium Falcon special from over the years or something. Millennium Falcon over the years or something was like a special Target digital.
I feel like
special. I don't know. And I was like, I don't even watch the special features really. So am I gonna even want this? And then I just said, just put it in the cart, pretend you got the regular one. It's $10 extra. Who cares?
Wow.
And I ended up buying the
Sounds
one
like
that
you
I
had
said
one
I
of those...
wasn't going to buy.
All that for a short movie, like extra, when you could have had all these special features and a book.
No, we know.
I did buy it, though. I got the book, Lacey. What part of this are you not understanding?
Yeah. Oh, so you did get the book?
Yes.
James takes a long lap to get to.
All right. Go back and listen to this episode, and you'll understand that I told the story.
So I went in, wasn't going to buy it, bought it. Done. I know. We got it.
But okay, I was going to buy Solo. All right, so, you needed the details.
So you know who's not nuts?
You guys are nuts.
Joseph Snoke, Supreme Leader Snoke.
Joseph Snoke.
That's right. You got it.
In the Technicolor bathrobe.
All right, so we have our poll results, and we asked you guys out there, if Andy Serkis' Snoke makes an appearance in Star Wars Episode 9, how would you want him to return? And we got a big response on this one. Over 1,500 votes were cast, and it was pretty close, actually. The winning vote was 37% of you said you want to see Snoke, if he returns, in a flashback, kind of like the flashback we saw between Luke and Ben in Episode 8. 34%, close second place in a Kylo Ren nightmare. That's my pick. I want to see that.
My soft boy.
18% of you said in a Force Vision, probably kind of like something that Rey had in The Force Awakens. And the last one, 11%, as a clone. Yeah, bring back the clones.
What? That is the most ridiculous thing. I'm sorry.
Well, Kylo Ren does bring up Supreme Leader Snoke suggesting using a clone army in the beginning of The Force Awakens, so maybe it's not that crazy.
Why would
Sheev
Snoke
in
clone
Legends
his
was
ugly
a
self?
clone.
Maybe there's a healthy-looking Snoke that isn't affected by the damage. Maybe there's like a... You know
Are
what I
you
mean?
trying to say that Richard E. Grant is the healthy-looking clone Snoke?
I am not saying that. Although,
okay.
did you know one of our listeners sent us a picture of Richard E. Grant as Obi-Wan Kenobi today?
Yeah, I saw that.
Crazy. So what do you guys think of those results? Do you what did you guys vote for, I should say, first?
I voted for the in a Kylo Ren nightmare.
There we go.
I don't know what it is. I think that in the flashbacks should have won, and it did win. It just seems the most likely, which is funny because Star Wars never had flashbacks until recently, and then we're like, yeah, in a flashback, yep, that's the most likely for a Star Wars movie. But no, I don't know what it is. I just kind of looked over the answers and I thought, if he were going to come back, it makes sense that he would be like this like kind of haunting idea or something. I don't know, maybe give Snoke a little bit more of a like residual power as far as like that's what the dark side does to live on or something. It lives on like in your nightmares or something.
I
don't know.
Lasting mental scar.
Yeah, there'd be scars of Sheev though.
So, Lacey, you definitely didn't vote for in a Kylo Ren nightmare, I'm guessing?
No, I actually did.
You did?
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
You know why?
You want him to
Because
have nightmares?
everything
That's
you
really
just
mean.
said makes people feel sorry for him, which they should, because he's been abused.
Okay.
You fell right into my trap.
Well, our best comment went to Tre Banks at Forgot About Tre 93.
Forgot about Tre.
I like that.
And it's Forgot ABTTRE 93 because he probably...
I love that handle.
Yeah. So
Tre. It's like a Scott mess.
Yeah, we don't even need his handle's enough. Like he doesn't need the comment. Just put his handle up there and be like, boom, that guy listens to us. There he is. But he did say if he's coming back in any physical form whatsoever, I'd rather it be a clone that was killed in The Last Jedi. So the real Snoke, didn't get killed in The Last Jedi.
Dun dun dun.
Could you imagine?
I'm glad you used the right dun dun dun.
So the clone has powers too, as the Force.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, it would.
Unless
sense.
Snoke is like behind the curtain doing it, and the guy's just acting like he's doing it.
That's where you lose it.
Wizard
That's
of Oz.
where you lose it.
Yeah, a little too much. I'll admit, Snoke's throne room did remind me of the Wizard of Oz with the red instead of the green, but that's
and the reflective floor.
Yeah, that's where I ended there. But I thought that was a cool comment, and it was the most liked. So thank you, Tre Banks, and cool handle.
Remember in the Wizard of Oz when all the green Praetorian guards tried to kill Dorothy and the... Never mind.
James is in a weird mood tonight, guys.
He's out there. I think he's still mentally at Target deciding which version of Solo he wants to buy. We'll get him back at some point. He's sitting there. Special edition or the regular? Got the special edition or the regular?
Special edition or the regular?
Imagine Solo.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
The musical brought to you by Imagine Dragons.
So James, I guess we got some news. Ice. So what do you say we fire up that resistance report?
We can do that.
It's the resistance.
The CEO of Disney, Bob Iger, went to Hollywood Reporter recently to sit down with them to kind of clear the air on a lot of the things that are going on in the Disney world. And one of the things that they talked about specifically was the Star Wars franchise and the Star Wars movies. And a couple of things that he said have the potential to be directed right at Solo or maybe just the Star Wars franchise as a whole. The main headline coming out of the whole thing is that they're going to slow down. They're not going to stop making movies, but there's going to be a significant slowdown. And what does that mean, I think, is the main idea here. Lacey, when you heard this, did you take it as Bob taking the blame for Solo as a whole? Or do you think that he was just saying, like, Star Wars in general is maybe not where we wanted it to go, and we've been putting out a movie a year, and that was all too soon? So he's like not apologizing for Solo, but apologizing for rushing all of it too fast.
I don't think he's apologizing at all. I think in business, sometimes things don't go according to plan, and you evolve your plan when things don't go the way they're supposed to. So I think this is them evolving. I think this is smart of them and smart of Bob to take this head on and just go right to the source and say, hey, this is what's going on. This is how we feel about it. This is what we're doing moving forward. I don't think he's admitting fault for anything. I think it's just, obviously, they probably banked a little too easy that people would show up just because it was Star Wars, and it didn't. So they're going to change their marketing plans moving forward. They're going to change the way they release movies moving forward, probably in the sense of they're not going to go the Marvel route with releasing things every year or a couple a year. He's just going to probably space it out a little bit more and take more time on marketing films. I think that's what it comes down to.
Okay, so overall, you are saying that you think his comments were more along the lines of all of the movies as opposed to like Solo directly. Like, hey, I think we put out too much Star Wars too soon.
I think it's specific to Last Jedi and Solo. I don't think it's Force Awakens. I don't think they have any complaints to make about Force Awakens.
I don't think so
it
either.
Was, yeah, I think it was the distance between and the time space between Last Jedi and Solo, and the reaction they had with Last Jedi and how it played into Solo. I think that's what they're dealing with right now and how they move forward.
Okay.
There.
So in your opinion, the 1 a year thing is still a possibility. Yeah. But never shorter than a year, like a 6-month gap, right, is what he's saying. Too fast.
Right.
All right, John, do you feel the same way? Do you think that it's the yearly thing, or do you think it's more directed at Solo? Because for me personally, I do actually kind of lean towards that it could mean the larger scope of maybe 1 a year is too much, and there's going to be some slowdown.
I still think it's 1 a year. I mean, This whole statement of his kind of corroborated what we reported a few months ago about things we were hearing, which was Lucasfilm wanted to move the movie, and Disney said, enough's enough. We'll give you the money to fix your problems. You fire those directors. Here's all the money you need to fix it with Ron Howard, but you're making May 25th. And guess what? Nothing you're doing is going to interfere with our other plans for our other mediums like Avengers, so you're not getting preferential treatment for marketing for this movie either. Which I did find it weird, and I still do, why they never put a trailer in front of The Last Jedi for Solo. That still blows my mind. Yeah. And then we also heard and reported that Lucasfilm was returning focus to one project at a time per medium. So that means one TV show with Favreau, one animated show with Resistance, one movie, and whether that's, episode 9, then you move on to the next one, which we're guessing is going to be a 2020 movie. We're not sure what. But we also heard Disney's done experimenting with new or unusual filmmakers too, and that could have been a reason why JJ was brought back. I think this is Iger taking the blame for it, but him knowing, like, not saying like I made a mistake, him saying like, yeah, I did this on purpose, and I'm manning up and saying like, yeah, this was me. This was my call. And this movie didn't do well because I put my foot down.
Isn't that saying I made a mistake?
Yeah, it is. But he's fully aware of the mistake the whole time. With knowing that they need to make adjustments going forward. And like we've talked about in the podcast, and everyone talks about, May Star Wars is toast. Like, you'll never see another Star Wars movie not come out in December in the future.
Yeah, so the reason I'm leaning towards it's the overall thing is that if you're going to make a move like we reported before that, we're going to do one project at a time, then I think the reason that we were able to get one movie a year is because they were working on Last Jedi at the same time they were working on Solo, or they were working on Rogue One and finishing that up, and they were working currently on Last Jedi as well, and they were going back and forth. And if that's the case, that they can only do one movie at a time, and they put all their efforts on that one movie and just like launch that at all cylinders, I think that implies that they're not going to be able to do the turnout that they were doing before for one movie a year. So I think it's possible, but
if you're talking about production, let's say the rumor is true from, I forget what site put that out, that episode 9 is going to wrap in like February, right? You can announce the 2020 movie at Celebration and already have plans to have that thing starting filming in like May or June, and that'll just be like how episode 9 started, and then the next year and a half after that it comes out.
Yeah, one of his comments was that they weren't even going to think about the future until after episode 9. And
I don't believe that at all.
What was not stated was, well, that's what he said, though.
I know
does that
said,
mean
but it just doesn't make sense?
No way.
And they were working on Last Jedi when they were still working on post-production for Force Awakens.
Well, but I understand that, but there's something new that's come into play. Solo didn't do as well as they thought. There was this big thing saying that, they're only working on one project at a time, and Bob Iger just did an announcement that said there's going to be a slowdown, and we're not even going to start working on looking at the next project until episode 9 is done. Those are all the facts. So I'm looking at it like, does that mean, does the end of episode 9 mean when JJ finishes filming, or does it mean when they finish, like when the movie's out and it's like been fully marketed and they put all of their energy? Because like, do you want Lucasfilm working on preparing and shooting another film while we're leading up to and trying to sell tickets to episode 9? You probably want them firing on all cylinders.
Right, but I think what they mean by that is so you have stages, you have script, and then you have production, and then you have post-production. I think once the script phase is done and they move the script to production, they start working on the next script.
Yeah.
That's very possible.
There's no way they're waiting.
I don't take the comments that way. I take it as there's actually going to be
There's no way they're waiting until after episode 9 comes out to start thinking about the next project, because then you're not seeing a Star Wars movie for at least another 2 years after that. And I don't think that's
crazy.
Happening at all.
Like it seems like we would like to have a movie in 2020, but there's a good possibility that they're like, end of 2019, movies out. We'll spend 2020 prepping and getting everything ready for the next one, and then 2021 we're going to launch this thing.
No way.
And that's what it is. I mean, it's all opinion,
but
both of our opinions are pulled from his words, and they're both accurate to his words. I'm just saying,
from a certain point of view,
that I take it one way. Yeah, from a certain point of view.
I just can't envision a world where Lucasfilm and Disney are not developing any Star Wars movies over the next year and a half until after episode 9 comes out. That just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, but then, you got to do what the boss says.
Yeah, and if that's focusing on one movie at a time, then once production wraps on episode 9, what's next? Let's roll.
Don't forget, Lucasfilm is also producing like 5 movies in that television show.
Yep. But that's a different department.
A television show is this. Okay. Well, I don't know exactly like different department. I would still think it's still Kathleen Kennedy. It's still Jon Favreau. It's still their big focus, especially since a lot of the comments in this article also have to do with the future of Disney and streaming services and where that's going to go. And Bob saying, look, we're probably going to take a loss in 2019. But I got the full support of the board to come in here and do what we need to do to make this streaming service work. And moving into that, I know that Star Wars Resistance is going to be, on television, Disney XD, Disney Channel, but we're getting closer to Star Wars Resistance, and we even got the new extended trailer that came out today. Are you guys excited about this?
Yeah, I'm still wrapping my head around what you just said about them not working on a film for a while.
Yeah.
I totally get where you come from, James, and I understand what he said and how it can be taken. I just can't see anyone sitting by and not already working on the next project, because I'm going to use this as an example only because it's my personal work life. I'm working on 2 shows right now, and as soon as one show is done, you're immediately prepping for the following year. It doesn't stop.
Yeah, but that makes sense. Because that's what I'm saying, is as soon as one movie is done, you start prepping on the next one.
No, I'm saying at one time I'm working on multiple shows, so it never stops, because as soon as one stops, like say AwesomeCon ends, I'm already working on AwesomeCon for the following year. It doesn't stop just because it ended. So I'm saying, like, you're already working on the next thing. And
yes.
James, guess what?
Anyway, we'll go back to Resistance. So Resistance looks wonderful. I think it looks super colorful. It seems really, really fun, and I'm gonna be totally lame, and people are gonna groan while they're listening to this, but I got really excited when I saw Kylo's ship. I got pumped, and I hope he's in the show. I don't care if it's like a small thing that we see him like a tiny moment, but I'm gonna squeal like a little girl because I'm excited, because he's my favorite character, and I'm excited to see BB-8. The one thing that caught me off guard though was the line that was I forget which character it was, I apologize, but they're like talking to Poe, and they're like, whenever you show up there's trouble. And I'm like, yeah, you know what, that's right, Poe kind of sucks. Like, Poe is always causing trouble. I'm just thinking about The Last Jedi, like,
he's just sticking his nose in, I think.
He makes me so angry.
Yeah, I like Poe Dameron. Again, I have my gripes about how his character's been developed. I feel like I don't care enough as much as I should for the guy.
Right? I feel like they just took away anything that I cared about in the first movie, and then in the first movie they didn't develop him in any way either.
Yeah, and they had the comic run which just ended, and they're putting him in this show, and that's all good and well, but I gotta get my Oscar Isaac. Like, I need to see Oscar Isaac do a bit more. But anyway, that's
Did you see
ahead of us.
I don't mean to cut you off. Did you see the screenshot someone posted on Twitter from the comic where it was someone saying, like, he's a good guy when he's good and gone, like, we'll remember him as being a good guy? And someone was saying, like, is Poe gonna die in 9? Like, that's what someone had said.
I didn't see that. That last Poe issue has a lot of things like lead-ins to 9 that explain 8 and explain where they could go in 9. So that's a hot comic. If you haven't read it, go check that one out.
But that's the new thing, is people are like, is he gonna die?
Yeah, I actually think they were really smart to carry over Poe's comic past The Last Jedi, because it gives a lot of focus on that series and that character. And I don't know, it gives a lot of people reason to go try to pick that up and try to figure out what's the next step and where they could be leading. So
I think it's possible he could die. I'll actually, if I remember, I'll touch on that more Thursday during our discussion. I'll explain how I tie that in. But as far as this show goes, watching this clip, I was a little surprised that I saw more detail and richness to it than I thought I was going to get. I feel like every time I think of Star Wars Resistance, I think of a blue ocean and something flying over it. So now that I'm seeing, like Starkiller base, oddly enough, I don't know how to fully explain this feeling. It looks really cool, but I got the Force Awakens nostalgia feels. And I know that movie's only 3 years old, but like seeing Starkiller base reminded me of the first time I saw Starkiller base, when you hear Snoke's voice for the first time, the droid will be, but like, it was very strange to me. So this may connect me back to TFA a little bit, a little 3-year flashback of a mini nostalgia.
I'm having flashbacks to Echo on Sega with those rings that they have to go through.
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys remember that game? That game sucks.
Or like Sonic for Dreamcast or whatever, where you're like running and it's like taking you through things.
Echo in the rings. That stupid game.
Yeah, so we were actually talking about this a little bit before air. I think that in general, this show to me seems more adult than I thought it was going to be, because I totally prepped myself for this being basically like a Saturday morning cartoon. Totally just like every episode is the next mission, and it has a a moral story, moral to the story every time. I just didn't think it was going to be anything at all, because everybody's like, well, it's not for you, or maybe it's not for you, or the Star Wars is for everyone, and all this other stuff. So I just had this idea that it was going to be really, really, really kiddie. And the more I see of this, I actually go, well, I don't know, that kind of looks pretty cool. This actually looks pretty interesting. Now, John and Lacey, you were a little bit on the other side of that. It's actually looking more like a kid's cartoon to you. Is that accurate? Is that not accurate?
I feel like we kind of like crossed across like the street, and you went back to the other side and went to that other side, and we were like, hey, how you doing? Hey, good to see you.
Yeah.
And then we went the opposite ways, because I did think it was going to be more like, here's Filoni again, and there's going to be some kind of turtle, and the turtle's going to be like talking about the Force and being like, you like the Force. Oh, I'm an animal and I'm close tied in with the Force. And now I just think exactly what you just said. Like Saturday morning, 8 a.m. on ABC, put this cartoon on there and let kids watch it and be introduced to Star Wars the way they made Forces of Destiny for girls to get into Star Wars. They can make this just for kids in general to get into Star Wars. That's how I'm seeing it now. So I don't know, but maybe it'll mature like Rebels did, which started off pretty kiddie and got very animals talking about the Force and deep and stuff like that. So maybe we'll see that turtle in a few seasons.
The Force and deep and stuff
deep
like
turtles
that.
talking about the Force.
Yeah, one thing about the Resistance is that it doesn't look like the Force is really present. Almost every single character in the show is non-Force sensitive, or whatever you want to say. It looks like this show is definitely going to lean towards the war, the political aspect of the Resistance and the Rebellion, and those types of things. Like the New Republic right now is doing fine, but as the First Order comes in, that's a big political move. It doesn't really have a whole lot to do with the dark side necessarily, especially since, like I said, all of our characters aren't Force sensitive. Anything interesting in the first 5 episode synopses? Nothing. Just Elijah Wood coming in. What do you think about that? A little Lord of the Rings action.
Yeah.
Are you having flashbacks now about rings again?
Yeah, that's
not the same. The Echo thing is like a trauma nightmare.
They're merging.
PTSD.
They're merging them though, because we have Andy Serkis, so you have Gollum, we have Dominic Monaghan, who played like Perry or Periwinkle or whatever his name was. Penny.
Wasn't he
Penny?
Mary?
Mary.
Isn't he Mary, right? Or
Perry?
is he Pippin?
I think
Larry
he was
or Mo. I don't
Mippin.
know.
We'll say Mippin.
Pippin.
Oh, well, Mary and Pippin.
I think Pippin's
yeah.
right.
I think
he played Scottie Pippen, the power forward for the Chicago Bulls from the 1990s. And then you have Elijah Wood now, Frodo. So maybe Sean asked, and that's what made me think, like, I want Sean Bean to play like a villain in a future Star Wars movie.
And then just get murdered, because that's all Sean Bean does.
That's all he does is die.
He's playing the Red Stormtrooper.
Yeah, there you go.
That'd be cool.
No, the descriptions, like I think you and we talked before we recorded, they just sound very, and this is what happens. No surprises, no ... Just like very matter of fact. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that's why I have a very different feeling, like that it's definitely, I mean, outside of the obvious, take a step back here. It is on Disney Channel, so it's obviously going to be for children, and this is for children, and everybody needs to remember that. But I definitely got more of a child vibe than I do from trailers of Rebels, and I know the later seasons are obviously more deep than the first seasons, but this trailer was very like, I'm going to be an ace pilot. Yeah! Like, that's what it was to me, and that's cool. That's how I'm going to watch it, and I'm going to love it. But it was very like, that certain tone that they always talk like this. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I know where this stands.
You know? I think an interesting experiment would be to go back and watch some of the original teasers for Rebels to see what kind of...
That's a good idea.
Absolutely.
To see if it lines up.
I'm going to be an ace pilot.
So when I saw that...
yeah. I'm going to be the bestest Jedi
When I saw
ever.
the Kowakian monkey lizard, and I immediately thought... Did Salacious survive what's the lifespan of a monkey lizard? You know? So
I don't know. Is that Bosk though?
I'm like, I'm like, let me bother Matt Martin because he has nothing better to do.
Could be
So
possible.
I'm like, hey, Matt Martin, is that Salacious Crumb? And he's like, no, he's probably a very toasty, burnt Kowakian monkey lizard at this point. I'm like, oh, damn. Okay. But the fact that he was just like, yeah, I'll just tell him what that is, makes me think like they're not too protective over this show. It's more like, let's have some fun. I'm like, no, that's not
I also love that
Salacious
everybody. I love that when everybody has a question, they're just like, "Hey, Matt Martin, question."
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
They would write anybody who would write back, and it used to be Pablo, then it kind of turned into Matt. But Leland Chew will write back every once in a while. He'll go on like little stretches, and then everybody else in the story group just seems
I don't
to
think
keep to
Kiri
themselves.
Hart
They're
or
kinda
Rain
off.
Roberts are on Twitter, and if they are, they've done a good job hiding.
We got one more thing to talk about, and that is the fact that Solo did come out on DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K, and digital, and all that. It's all out now. You can totally watch it at home in any format, any way
James,
you want.
which version did you buy,
We talked
James?
a little bit. Yeah, I was gonna go for the multi-screen edition. No. But here's the thing is that I did end up picking up a better one because it had some special features. However, I have not checked out that special feature yet. I saw some of them. I watched the Kasdan on Kasdan, which was pretty interesting because it actually made me feel a little bit like maybe there was some clashing between them. Like there's this, they were bringing up a little bit of dynamic, like, I don't know, like sometimes you're just like, my son doesn't get it kind of a thing. And like my parents just don't understand. Right. And they come from two separate eras. And one of the things that I thought was interesting was the young Kasdan saying that his dad just doesn't know anything about the expanded stories and the TV shows and all that other stuff. So he'd like mention it like it mattered. And the older Kasdan is going, does that matter? That doesn't matter. I'm writing my own story. And then it's like him, he's like, no, it's important though. It matters. So I don't know. I think that was kind of an interesting dynamic. What were some of your guys' favorite of the special features?
I liked the Jonas getting into the suit. That was cool. And then I know that they showed this online, but I watched the round table. Well, they didn't, just parts of it, but the round table's so cool. And I remember Alden telling the story at Celebration about his grandma, and I just find it so funny because it's so relatable, where he was like, Grandma, you can't tell anybody that I got this part. And she's like, okay, I won't tell anybody. And then the next day she calls him, she's like, everyone is so excited. I just love it. And I just loved hearing the different perspectives of everybody at the round table, and just, I don't care what anybody says, the way Ron Howard talked about this movie, no one can deny that he didn't put his heart and soul into this movie, along with everybody else, but like definitely Ron Howard. And I just can't believe anybody would be like, oh, he did a terrible job, or oh, this movie sucks, when so much time and care and love went into this movie that I really, really hope Ron gets a chance to do another Star Wars film, whether it's Solo 2 or something else.
Make Solo 2 happen.
I love how it ended up. I love it so much, and I've had numerous people come up to me and say, you know what, I liked it better than The Last Jedi, so I'm for it. I loved it. And I love special features, like you said, with the Kasdans and everything, and I'll probably watch those more times than I watched the movie, just because I love that behind the scenes stuff.
It's all in this realm here, but like to what Lacey was just saying, like it did to me feel like hearing Ron Howard talk that like he was doing this for George. Like George gave him his start, and he's just like, I don't want to let George down. Like this, even though he sold it, this is still Star Wars. I have to do a good job here, and I have to stay true to what George felt. And that leads me to one of my favorite parts, which was seeing George Lucas on the Falcon. Seeing George Lucas joke around and look not like a curmudgeon walking around the street mad at people asking for autographs.
Let me tell you a story about my
you have to retweet that clip that you made, Lacey.
Oh my gosh.
If you guys haven't seen that clip, Lacey has to retweet that back out. But Jonas with the suit was definitely cool, because you feel like he really takes like personal ownership of it, and he really cares about it.
Oh, he loves it, yeah.
So that it made me feel good, because it's like he's not just like, all right, I put on the suit and throw it on a chair. He's like, you better take care of my suit. And then the Kasdans, like, James, that's a good point you made. Like, it's like when you help your dad out in the yard and you like screw up, and he's like, I said that wrench, not that wrench. Like, this one goes here, that one goes there. It's like Han talking to Chewie.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say.
So it's like, I could picture the Kazdans kind of like arguing over making a film that way. Like, you don't write that there. I wrote this character. Give me that pen and the paper and the pencil, and I'll rewrite that line. And then, like, you know, you could see, like, the Kazdans almost like it's a reality show waiting to happen. Like, the Kazdans, like, keeping up with the Kazdans, right? But overall, I was a little disappointed, though. I hate to be the downer here, because all of these things I love felt like a teaser. Like, seeing George and the Falcon, seeing them talk about making this. I wanted a director in the Jedi. Like, give me an hour of that. Take me.
You got spoiled with Ryan.
Yeah.
Ryan spoiled you.
Take me onto the set, or like the episode 1 documentary. That is brilliant. Take me onto the set, take me behind this movie, and I didn't really get that. So I felt like these special features were good, but they were a little bit of a tease. And to close it out, James, you'll probably agree with me. I'm glad all the deleted scenes were cut from the movie. I think it was a smart call across the board.
I think I think Lacey nailed it. That Force Awakens barely had any special features, and Rogue One barely had any special features. Like, there were no deleted scenes for Rogue One. They're like, we gave you everything we had.
Because literally, it was everything we had.
Yeah, literally everything. So then, the other thing was that then Rian Johnson comes in and he's like, special features. Here's a different version with John Williams music. Here's a whole, here's a movie within a movie about, and he just went nuts. And then we're like, cool, this is the way it's going. It's getting better now. And then, I don't know, this one's just kind of like, it's kind of what all the other ones had, you know? I think it's just in general, movies, I don't really think they see it as a big selling point. I think when DVDs first came out, they're like, oh, this is great. This gives people reason to spend more money on a box office home release. And over time, I've just noticed that more and more people are like, yeah, whatever. Here's a scene selection menu and I don't know, something that a link that leads you to our homepage.
I wish they released everything that they ever shot. Like, I'm one of those people that would sit and watch.
Me too.
Outtakes.
100%. And also, I wish people who were detractors, who think that they don't care about these movies and they're making a crap product or whatever, would just sit down and watch these documentaries, even the small ones, and realize how much detail goes into making these things, like the kitchen in the Millennium Falcon, and what they used to reference that. Like, oh, this symbol was used back when they first designed the concept of this. Like, it's so ingrained in the culture and roots of Star Wars, from McQuarrie to the sounds to everything, that it's still so Star Wars. And I wish people who are just thumbing their nose and hating things and not seeing Solo just to not see it could just sit down and watch that and maybe be like, you know what, maybe I was wrong. You know, I don't know. It's just,
Even if, and this isn't the case, but even if Kathleen Kennedy hated Star Wars and her whole goal was to run it into the ground, and Rian Johnson hates Star Wars and his whole goal is to run it into the ground, you still got to think at some level that background mic operator or that background character designer or whatever, they care. They're still putting everything they possibly can into creature design and set design and the art and the costumes and the music. You know, do you think Giacchino doesn't like Star
Neil
Wars or
Scanlon,
Solo? You don't
the
think
passion that guy puts into these creatures?
He was specifically, that these guys are like, oh, I'll just create stupid creatures because this franchise is dead.
I don't like my job. I don't want to
like,
be hired for anything else. Screw it.
Yeah, appreciate something if you don't like a lot of, or if you don't like some of the aspects of the film, like, learn to appreciate the other ones. At least give those people some credits.
I think that's why I get so irrationally protective of these people that I've never met in my life. Like, after watching The Director and the Jedi and the pressure Rian Johnson put on himself, I like totally am there with him. I feel like we have the same like mental like anxiety, stress on ourselves. Like, we're very similar in that way. So when I saw him like stressing, being like, I want people to like this and then know what comes after, I just get so protective of all these people that I'm like, these people care.
James,
what is wrong with you?
We need to each make self-documentaries of ourselves at work so that Lacey can watch it and then really protect us and care about it.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. The way Lacey is describing Rian Johnson, I recently went back. It just popped up in my YouTube feed. The first ever episode of Late Night with Conan O'Brien. And the very first skit of the very first episode is him like getting up in the morning and the radio, he turns the radio on and it's like, tonight's Conan's first episode. He better be as good as Letterman. And like everywhere he goes to pick up the newspaper and the newspaper guy's like, if you're not as good as Letterman, I'm going to crush you. And like all these fans are like, there's so much pressure. How is he going to do it? And all this stuff. And he goes into his backstage room and he's like whistling, I'm getting ready for work, because he's been positive the whole time. And then he just takes a rope and he throws it over the top and then he steps up on a stair and he puts the noose around his neck. And then they're like, Conan, you're on. And he's like, can it wait a minute? And they're like, nope, you're on right now. And he's like, okay, here goes nothing. And then he takes it off and goes out for his opening monologue. And that just has got to be Rian Johnson the whole time he's on the set. He's like, you're going to ruin Star Wars. You have so much pressure. And he's like, I'll do my best.
Definitely
No,
JJ.
he's just so awesome. Him and Ron Howard.
Yeah, JJ too.
JJ,
yeah.
You could just tell they care.
JJ going into it and JJ now in episode 9. I mean, it's so crazy, the amount of pressure. I don't know, man.
I couldn't do it. I'd lose it.
I'm gonna throw out one more favorite thing about the Solo home release is that the main menu is the song that I felt like I connected with the most, which is Han seeing the Falcon for the first time. I've described it on the show how powerful and impactful that song is and how much it resonates with me. And it was great to pull it up on the television and it's like, here it is, play deleted scenes, special features and all that stuff, and it's playing that music and I'm like, I own it. This is
which is just
amazing.
the main
I'm
theme,
so
just
happy
done
to have
differently.
this. Yeah, sort of. Yeah. Done differently, but in a very which is funny because they hardly use that main theme anymore, but they nailed it for this.
By the way,
Solo
I know
character.
we're up against it for Resistance Report, but my last viewing of Solo, when Enfys Nest is talking about her mom and she says, and then the people had enough and they resisted, they play the first few notes of March of the Resistance right after that.
Yeah,
Yep.
buddy.
Do they?
So John Powell, good on you, dude. That's another thing. These people care. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. All right. So I think that's everything that basically was the news that happened this week. There were a couple other things that were interesting, but maybe we don't have enough time to discuss it since we're pushing up like 45 minutes right now.
We can make the quick jump.
Let's head over to John Hoey for the Scoundrels
I have no
rundown.
time to do this rundown. We have no time. So punch it. All right, I'm going to go as fast as I can here, these two stories. So the first teaser trailer for ILM's upcoming Darth Vader virtual reality series was released, and we now have a title for the game set to debut with a standalone Oculus Quest VR headset in 2019. It's called Vader Immortal, a Star Wars VR series. It's written and produced by David Goyer, who you may know co-wrote the Dark Knight film series and Man of Steel, which is one of the best comic book movies ever made. We'll talk about that later. The series is set in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, and is connected to the ILM-X Lab and the Void's location-based hyper-reality experience Star Wars Secrets of the Empire. It sounds pretty badass to me. Lacey, are you going to buy this? And when you do, can I come over and play it?
Probably. Sure.
Okay, awesome. Resistance comic is coming. German illustrator Ingo Romling recently revealed his next venture in the Star Wars universe at the Norris Force Con. Having done one for Rebels and with Rebels now over and done, Romling is shifting his focus to another Star Wars comic based on the next upcoming animated series, Star Wars Resistance. Up your alley, James?
Oh, yes. I'm going to love that.
For more on these stories and articles on all of our news stories today, head to StarWarsNewsNet.com. That is your Scoundrels Rundown for this week. So let's see what Lacey has cooked up for us in hashtag Ask the Resistance. Chewie, get us out of here.
All right, guys, it's time for hashtag Ask the Resistance. You've got questions. We've got answers. Actually, when you said cooking before, I thought of that really funny video on YouTube where she's like, "You gotta be cooking by the book." Crazy.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, okay.
And then they mix it with Little John. He's like, "Yeah,
back and down, get up real fast." Okay.
No idea.
And, John, I'll send it to you. Don't worry. Okay. So the first one is from Wicked Raz at Wicked Raz. Wicked. Woo! So they said, regardless of acting career, role, and dialogue given, which actor/actress gives out the best acting performance in all of Star Wars, in your opinion? Which one gives out the worst? John, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, best.
I didn't know his answer.
Best is Adam Driver.
Yep.
And he's going to even have his best performance yet in episode 9. And the worst is flip your coin, take your pick, unfollow me on Twitter, block me. I don't care who you are. It's Hayden Christensen or Natalie Portman. They both stunk in the prequels.
All right. And that's the sound of hundreds of followers screaming out and unfollowing John Ho.
And a lot of that was George Lucas's fault for his dialogue writing and his choice of cuts some direction because Rick McCallum was up kissing his butt.
Heavy dialogue, anyway. Blocky dialogue.
What about you? What about yous guys?
Go ahead, James. Best and worst.
For me, a fun honorable mention would be Frank Oz, giving a great performance.
Yes.
But I do think if you're going to look at live action characters, you look at Han and Leia and Luke and Anakin and Obi-Wan and all these, and I still think that it's got to be Rey and Kylo. Like, it's the toss up between these two. These two are so great, and I think it's because
you can only pick one, James.
When they were making
you got to pick one.
Let's go.
If I had to pick it, since he picked Kylo Ren, I'll pick Rey.
So Daisy Ridley.
Daisy Ridley, yeah. I think that there's just something about them trying to really, really, really get the best that they possibly could out of their actors. I mean, a side note, Oscar Isaac too is there, and he's great. You can only pick everything that he's in.
Quickly answer one.
No, but I did.
Now, worst, quickly. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. The worst is just anybody in the prequels that was like a pilot, or something.
Oh, that's a
like
cop
those
out.
people are just.
It is,
but it's like those people
guy that you said was the worst death.
Yeah,
box guy.
That's true too. No, but anybody who's like a pilot, they're like, the ship's working again. That's crazy to me. Like,
come on, be bold. Pick a main character or a secondary character.
Pick a main character? I don't.
Dude,
know.
I picked.
Gosh, she says quickly,
James,
and then she forces my hand.
I said Natalie Portman. Like, do you realize how many people are gonna
She's an Oscar-winning
me?
Actress.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think Natalie Portman did better than random pilot guy.
All right, your answer.
All right, pick a main character. I guess. I
don't think he got the quickly memo.
I can't. Yeah, I can't
because
I didn't have one prepared. I was like, well, I did.
He's out.
I did. It was my random pilot.
All right, best easy. Adam Driver. My baby is the best actor in Star Wars. I will defend that till the end of time. And I'm outside of Star Wars. He's also a very, very good actor. Everyone should see his movies. Worst. This is one that people are going to be mad about, John. I think a little mad, but whatever. Billie Lourd is terrible. She's a terrible actress. And if I have to watch her say punch it one more time in The Last Jedi, I swear.
You're going to punch her?
She's not good. She does the same thing and everything. And
that's not a main
I love
character.
her. And I said secondary, dude. I said main or secondary. I'm really sorry, guys. She got this role because of Carrie. Sorry.
Well, yeah.
So I loved her in Scream Queens. I thought she was fabulous. But she did
You don't need to justify it.
Listen,
if she stinks, she
but
stinks.
here's why, though. Because she did the same role in Last Jedi and Force Awakens. So the one line where she lets their ship go and she turns and she goes, "Nothing. It's just debris." That's the same way she would have said that line in Scream Queens. That's why she is the worst. Sorry.
All right, you know what? I'm gonna really tank myself here. I'm gonna also say, Hermione Cornfield, who played Tally Lintra, she sucked too.
She was my second. Where she's like, bombs away.
Bombs away.
I hate it.
And then we have everybody for some reason on Twitter like, I need a Tally Lintra movie. I'm like, no, you don't. You're just trying to be unique. Like, shut up.
I was one that I thought of was the like medical attendant to Chewbacca.
Oh
my God.
She was purposely
trying.
like that. Yeah, it's like when your mom is like pretending you're brave even though you're not. You must be
scary.
so brave. Yeah.
No, I don't know, man. Because did you see the deleted scene where she talks to Rey?
No. Well, I probably did.
Awful.
Oh.
She like walks up. She walks up and she's like, "Your friend, he's going to be just fine," and then like turns with no facial expression or whatever, and just like walks away.
Mm-hmm.
It like Rey's like looking at her like, "Oh my God." Like it was so bad.
Well,
so now that we've done that, we want to preface it that all these people are probably wonderful human beings. We have nothing against them.
Yeah.
We're just having fun here. We're just having a good time.
But seriously, some people need to deliver some lines a little bit better. Okay.
Bombs away.
Bombs away. And why'd they do that in slow motion? Can we go back to that for a second? So it's not just that she says it that way. It's that it's partially in slow motion. So she's like, bombs away.
Yeah, shaking her head.
What about Joseph Gordon-Levitt as the alien?
All right. See, now
that's a terrible performance.
Open up your vault.
We've already moved on, James. Okay.
Yeah.
Next is Jay Penn at JK Ren 25, and they ask, "Do you think that ending the Skywalker bloodline in Episode 9 will be the best direction for all the future Star Wars films?" So clearly, this person thinks Kylo's going to die. Thank you for giving me this question, guys.
No. They don't think they're going to die.
It says ending the Skywalker bloodline.
Which means that Kylo might not have a kid.
Ending means die.
Anyway, answer away.
Okay, so I'm answering this like I think he's going to die because that's what it sounds like to me with ending. Do I think it's the best direction? Not necessarily, because the saga films are the Luke Skywalker saga, you know, the Skywalkers, Anakin, Leia, etc. So if you're going to keep making saga films, there has to be some type of tie-in. It doesn't make sense. For the future Star Wars films, I think you can make plenty of films without Skywalkers in them, and I think that's what they're going to do. And I think they're going to be amazing, and they're going to be fun. But sagas, you got to have some type of Skywalker in there somewhere.
Lacey, do you think they'll bring it back one day?
The sagas?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think they're going to keep making
like
them.
10, 11, 12.
I keep going back
Does
and
Bob
forth,
Iger like money?
Yeah. Yeah.
Next is Gabe Nedweck at Ned81, and he asks, what would you think of them bringing Rebels characters to live action? James, this one's going to go to you because you're the Rebels fan.
Besides Chopper, he's going to say Chopper already was.
No,
but
no,
actually,
my answer to this generally is that if you first see a character in live action and then bring them to animation, it works. But if you see a character in animation and bring them to live action, it just feels weird. It feels like a cosplay or something. I've said that before, and I think like in an ideal situation, would I like to see those characters show up and have their own movies and things like that? Yeah, great. I'd love to see Ahsoka and Luke and like Ahsoka and Mark Hamill together. That would be really cool. But at the same time, I just don't think it'll work. I think it would be weird. I think I would look at and I'd be like, that doesn't look like Ezra to me, or that doesn't look like Sabine. And I don't know. I just don't want anything to like taint that. So I think that just leaving the characters to what they are, or telling them like in other forms, comic books where that thing can be stylized and it's okay to be stylized in those forms is the best way to go.
Nice.
That's just
I saw
opinion.
someone did a rendering of Thandie Newton as Ahsoka, and it looked pretty cool recently. I forget who it was. I apologize.
Neato.
Next is Ryan Simi at Ryan Scott 00.
Sime.
I know, but he's Simi. I keep saying this. Ryan, you're Simi now.
Oh. Okay.
Again. And Ryan asks, do you want them to release all 10 episodes of the new TV show all at once, or 1 or 2 a week? John, what do you think? I'm assuming he's asking about Resistance.
I think he's asking about the Favreau.
John Favreau.
Favreau.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how I took it.
So, because it's going to be on that streaming service, right? So, I've thought about this before. I think we talked about it a long time ago on the podcast about what they may do with this. I say yes in terms of releasing them once a week. And here's why. It's something to look forward to, like every Sunday night, or whenever. And it gives us a chance to talk about each episode each week, obviously on the podcast, and just in fandom, like Game of Thrones or Sopranos, and let's just rewatch it and go deep into it and be like, oh my God, that episode, it was just like, so this happened, this happened, this happened. I don't necessarily want to binge 10 hours of a Star Wars show at once and feeling like I have to because everyone's going to be spoiling it on the internet.
I will.
So I want to ingest it and enjoy it and kind of deep dive it a bit. So I think it's a great question, and I actually hope that they do that. What do you guys think? Yes? No?
I am the one that is crazy and will sit and watch all 10 episodes all in one sitting and will.
I will
my
too,
eyes
but I
will
don't want to do
bleed.
that.
Yeah, I would too.
But I do agree that maybe if they released one a week, you'd appreciate it more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it gives everything time to like soak in. And, shout out to Force Center Pod, who was talking last week about the possibility of it just being like one and done. There it is. Boom. It's out now. And it was the first time I'd come across this. Good thing this question came up for us. But I was just like astonished. I was like, I hope they don't do that. That would be terrible.
That's what
I just don't. 10 hours of information. Like you'd overlook so much stuff. You'd have to go back. You can't.
Yeah, but James, that's what I assumed the whole time that they were going to do that. Like that wasn't a revelation.
You thought they were going to drop all of it all at once?
Yeah, because that's what they do with all streaming service TV shows.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
I don't think
here's
so.
Stranger Things. Boom, there's all 10 episodes.
That's what Netflix
Here's
does.
Ozark.
But that's not what all streaming networks do.
Yeah, they do. Unless
For
they
instance,
air live on television, they release, if it's on a digital platform, they release them all at once. I think, wait, hold on.
I don't
take
have
that
a
back
perfect
as I'm
example,
saying
but
that.
I feel like
Star Trek Discovery, they do one a week on the streaming
Oh,
service.
okay. Interesting.
yeah,
CBS Access.
I don't understand why they. Well, you know why they're doing it is because there's not enough information or there's not enough stuff on their platform in order to like everybody would watch all the episodes and then they would cancel CBS.
Access.
Mm-hmm.
They would leave. So they're keeping you paying for like multiple months at least as long as they can. And I don't know that would be necessarily the case because like we talked about earlier in the episode, Bob is going to fight for quality over quantity. So there may not be a lot of material on the Disney streaming service. So if they dropped it all at once, that would be like, well, I'll buy into it, watch all the Star Wars episodes and bail out. I think that would be a crazy move on their part.
They're also going to put all
but
the
this was
Disney
John's
movies
question,
up
so
there now. Because
Yeah.
they've been slowly pulling
no,
those from all the different platforms.
I understand. I'm just saying in general, I think it would be smarter for them to do one a week.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, to short answer your question, I say yes, they should release it once a week.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for sending in your questions. If you want to be on the show, make sure to hashtag Ask the Resistance every week at our platform, not platform, at our handle,
Our Twitter.
which is at RB at SWNN. And maybe you'll make it on the show. Ask John about how Chewie's gonna die, and then
Oh my God, when is that bit gonna die? That's what we all.
it's
That's what we
never
all want to
gonna
know.
end.
When Kylo Ren does.
Spoiler alert! I posted a speculative thing that I think Chewie's gonna end up on Kashyyyk with the Wookiees at the end of episode 9, and Lacey
how
liked
cheery.
that tweet.
How wonderful!
You like that tweet?
Of
You
course,
liked
I like
it,
all
so-
your tweets because I'm a friend.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to you, John.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening. Make sure you're subscribed on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Head to StarWarsNewsNet.com, our website for all of your latest news, reviews, editorials, information, and more, and articles on all the stories we covered today. tpublic.com/user/resistance broadcast. Pick up the Make Solo 2 Happen shirt. I'm wearing it right now. Hashtag tweet it out. Hashtag Make Solo 2 Happen. Let's see if we can get that thing cooking. Pretty sure that movie's going to debut at number 1 on the home video retail charts. So let's keep that thing going. You guys can find me, John Hoey, on Twitter at Johnny Hoey, and writing and editing over at StarWarsNewsNet.com. James Bainey, where you at?
You can find me refreshing my Apple app over and over and over and over again, waiting to see if my Apple Watch has shipped. I'm pretty excited about that Series 4, but if you guys want to talk to me on Twitter or Instagram, you can get a hold of me at Meyer Trunks.
All right, Lacey?
People can find me on Twitter at Lacey Gillerin, where I'll be talking about fun Star Wars stuff and having fun and being on the interwebs and
Star Wars
and
stuff.
Star Wars stuff. And that's really it. And then eventually, if some news starts coming out, I'll start doing videos again.
Hey!
Because there's nothing to talk about.
And you guys can find, I'm not sure when exactly, but Lacey and I will be at New York Comic Con on Thursday, Friday-ish.
Yep, sometime during those 4 days, we'll be there.
If you're bopping around and happen to see one of us, come say hello. And if you are a creepy person, just go say hi to Lacey and not me.
Or take a picture of me from far away and tweet it at me like some people might do.
Oh, wow. I've never had that happen to me.
Neither have I. I kind of made that up. I'm sorry. I totally made that up. But I've seen it happen to people before.
Okay, good.
It's happened to me.
Guess what I'm doing at New York Comic Con? I'm taking a picture of Lacey from like a mile away.
Picture of Lacey,
yeah,
tweeting it to her.
All right, guys.
Look who I saw.
Recently, the Star Wars community lost a icon who is kind of an under-the-radar superstar in terms of making Star Wars happen. That is Gary Kurtz, the producer of the first 2 movies, and we are going to talk about that on Thursday, his impact on the overall history of Star Wars and how it wouldn't exist without him. So enjoy your weeks, stay tuned, and we will see you on Thursday morning with another awesome episode with good times and fun for all, right here on the Resistance broadcast. See you around, kids.